Hi Acadiana, I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker. Welcome to your Tuesday edition of Let's Talk Tropics. We've got a rainy day here in Acadiana, and a lot of that is tropical moisture that's rolling northward out of the western part of the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be the pattern for the next couple of days, keeping things quite unsettled across Acadiana, and it looks like we're going to continue to see these types of weather conditions for the remainder of the week. But as we look at the traffic cams, you can see that the roadways are wet. We've got widespread light to moderate rain across Acadiana. No big thunderstorms just yet, but we've got some thunderstorms that are moving across central portions of Louisiana right now, with more moderate rains that are coming down elsewhere here in Acadiana. So we'll go on a little radar tour here, and from Lafayette on down to New Iberia, Jeanerette, and into portions of St. Mary Parish, we've got some light to moderate rain that's occurring. Looks like it gets a little bit heavier here in eastern parts of St. Martin Parish, at least at this hour. Up to the north, though, we've got some bigger thunderstorms that are coming across parts of Vernon and Rapides parishes. These are all moving off basically toward the northeast. You can see it kind of drifting there off toward the north, and then the western sections of Acadiana right now, not seeing a lot of rain, but there are some thunderstorms that are now starting to develop over portions of southeastern Texas. But check out how far out the rainfall goes. In fact, we'll just kind of take a little radar tour. There's the Houston radar, there's the Corpus Christi radar, and here's the Brownsville radar. So you can see there's quite a bit of moisture that's coming on in, and we'll see that kind of streaming northward into Acadiana as we go through the next couple of days. So do expect some rainy days, but not really expecting any big problems when it comes to tropical weather. Our atmosphere, though, is quite moist once again. You can see on the SKU-T model here, on one side you've got the temperature, and on this side you have the dew point. That's the green line, and this is the weather balloon data. So this is the ground, and this is getting way up at the top of the atmosphere there. And when these two lines are close together like this, you have pretty much a saturated atmosphere. So with that rain coming in, there's not really going to be much struggle for the air to lift either. And there's quite a bit of moisture. Some of those precipitable water rates are up around the 2-inch mark, which is way up for this time of the year. As far as the Gulf of Mexico, you can see how a lot of that moisture is continuing to stream in here. We've got a little bit of a trough right there. That's bringing some showers and thunderstorms out just off to the coast of Florida. But really, we got more of a ridge of high pressure that's off to the east of there, and the southerly flow is bringing that moisture in. So we'll continue to see those showers and thunderstorms. Now, this is not going to be tropical in nature, even though you've got a lot of thunderstorm activity on the western side of the Gulf. This would be a normal place you would see this type of development, but this really isn't looking too interesting other than the moisture kind of rolling northward. And as far as the wave heights for our friends that are working in the offshore waters, you're probably looking about 1 to 3 foot seas, maybe some 4 to 5 around the bigger thunderstorms, and then farther down toward the south here in the Bay of Campeche, things are getting a little rough, and we got some fresh breezes behind a tropical wave that's now currently moving across Central America, a wave right about here. So those fresh breezes, kind of like a front coming in behind there, quite brisk, and that's creating some rougher seas there off the coast of Nicaragua as well as Panama. But this is all part of a tropical wave, and you've got some thunderstorms that have been moving off toward the west, and the Caribbean satellite is also showing a lot of moisture there in the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. We've got more of what we would say an upper level low that's right about in here. You can see that kind of counterclockwise spin there, but that's not down at the surface. That's high in the atmosphere. And then we've also got kind of a flare up of some thunderstorms here over the southern Windward Islands. We'll watch that as it moves off toward the west, but it isn't looking too interesting either. You probably can notice on here there is some Saharan dust that's out in the eastern part of the Caribbean Sea, and that Saharan dust is out here as well. So that's going to inhibit any development that's farther out to the east. Tropical Atlantic, again, showing a number of tropical waves that are out there. You got the tropical wave that's currently moving over Central America right now. You got another tropical wave right about here, another one here. Looks like one trying to form right there, and then you've got some other activity that's trying to come off the coast of Africa. But once again, if you look at the satellite imagery there is a lot of Saharan dust there, a lot of Saharan dust here. It's up here as well, and it's over here in the western part of the Gulf of Mexico too. So we are going to see that becoming more of an inhibiting factor over the next couple of days. But As we go into August, a lot of times that Saharan dust and high pressure starts to kind of weaken a little bit, and we get some more moist air to kind of move across the eastern part of the Atlantic Ocean. But I don't think that's going to happen for a number of days, but there are some hints in some of the models that things might be getting a little more active once again as we move into August. Now, anything that tries to develop isn't going to have much of a hard time getting it going with the fuel that's out there. You've got those very warm water temperatures that continue. Everything is over 26.5 degrees Celsius, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we had the proper atmospheric conditions, water temperatures would be able to support just about anything trying to develop. And then you get a little more worried when you get into the Caribbean and the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. Not only are those 80-degree waters at the surface, but they go very, very deep. So if any tropical system wants to try to move across those areas, it'd be able to pull up some of that warmer water from below the surface as well. And with that, you can sometimes get intensification with tropical storms and hurricanes. And when you have this high tropical cyclone heat potential, sometimes that intensification can be quite rapid. So nothing out there right now. But again, if things were going to try to develop here, maybe over parts of the Caribbean Sea, central part of the Caribbean Sea, or maybe even north of the islands, which is where we're looking at the models, possibly trying to pinpoint something here in the very near future. Saharan dust, of course, has been the big story over the last several days, and I think it's going to be hanging out there. All the red and the orange and the yellow is not just Saharan dust, but it's also very, very dry air. And in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we are seeing generally dry air, but I want you to watch this little area here. And then it kind of scoots a little bit farther to the west, and then here, and then here, and then right about in here. So we're going to follow that little path of moisture. And you can see there was a little low there at the very end. So the thing is going to start over here, and you get some moisture that starts here. And then it's about right here, kind of drifting off toward the west. And then we kind of continue to follow it right there. And then right here, and then by the time we get to about August the 3rd, we've got a little bit of a low pressure area there, maybe off the Florida Panhandle. So that will be something we'll be watching over the next couple of days. Wind shear is weakening somewhat, but there's still a considerable amount that is currently out there. So anything developing over the next couple of days isn't very, very likely. So let's get back to that GFS model that was indicating the possibility of something developing. And we're going all the way out through August. I believe this is August the 8th now is where we're going out here. But look at the wave right there. And then it starts to cross Florida, and then you get that little low pressure area. That's about August the 3rd, August the 4th. So what is that? A little over a week away from where we are right now, maybe 10 days or so. So again, with the big ridge of high pressure that's out here over the Atlantic, everything is going to kind of cruise off toward the west here across portions of the Atlantic Ocean. But anything that tries to develop here might still be able to make its way into the Gulf of Mexico as that ridge of high pressure remains there in place. Euromodel isn't too impressed with that, but the Euromodel also doesn't go quite that far out. This goes out about 10 days. So we're really kind of getting on the cusp of where the GFS is showing it. But at least farther down the road, we're seeing more moisture in this particular area that could possibly bring the chances for some development. So that's going to be kind of the area that we'll be watching. And to tell you the truth, just north of the Caribbean islands and east of the Bahamas is still one of those areas where you have a more development this time of the year. So we'll look at that in just a second, but at least for now, the National Hurricane Center is not thinking that we're going to see any development here over the next 7 days. But the frequency will be going up. This is an average season based on the data that we have from about the last, 80 years there. And July is still a relatively quiet month, but we do tend to ramp up fairly quickly as we go through August and September. But the August development, now remember, we're here in the last few days in July, and the models aren't really showing anything developing, but as we start to get into the month of August, the development zones increase. And remember, we were talking about the possibility of something kind of moving in this particular area. And again, that's the region where you sometimes can get more development, over 30%. of tropical systems will develop somewhere in this particular area during the month of August. And we've had a number of significant systems that have come in that particular direction during the month of August. And some that come to mind, of course, are Andrew and Katrina, both kind of coming from that direction. So it is something that we will be watching over the next several days, but at least for the next few days, we don't have anything to worry about. But as if you were watching yesterday, gave you a number of opportunities to see things that you could be doing right now to prepare for hurricane season. Also things you can do when we're a week out, when something looks like it might be threatening, and then also 3 days out. And if you missed yesterday's show, all of that is still hosted there on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check out the very end of the video of Let's Talk Tropics for Monday, you can look at some of those tips from what you can do right now, what you can do 7 days out, and what you can do 3 days out before any kind of tropical system starts to move in. In the meantime, though, we're just going to continue to watch all of that moisture moving up across the western part of the Gulf of Mexico. That will be our forecast for the next several days, with a good chance for showers and thunderstorms, some heavy rain possible. We even got a bit of a risk of some flooding out there as well, some excessive rainfall risks that are there. Marginal to slight risk, level 1, level 2, over much of southwestern Louisiana and much of southeastern Texas. So some rainy days ahead. Hopefully it'll come down nice and steady, and we can continue to keep the clouds in these slightly cooler than normal temperatures, which is such a huge change from what we had last year. If we can get all this moisture to sink in, maybe if we do end up going into drought-like conditions later on in August, we'll have enough moisture built up from June and July. Well, I hope you enjoy Let's Talk Tropics. If you do, please click the like button and like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends too, so they know that this is available. And this is just forecasting at its rawest nature, and it's right here in Acadiana. So I'm focusing just on the Acadiana region when it comes to tropical weather and how that's going to affect our region. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker. I will see you early tomorrow morning for Acadiana weather today between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. And of course, don't forget to check out some of the other videos I have on my channel. I will see you on Wednesday.